We back with it. I'm back on giving y'all these Redskins reports. This one will be pretty extensive because we have a lot to cover. Injuries, draft rumors, suspension statuses, off-season schedule dates, roster updates, opinions, and last but not least, celebrating Sean Taylor just real quick at the end. Let's get it. To start off this revived Redskins report, I want to give y'all some important concrete information. The Redskins offseason training schedule has been released. From rookie minicamp to mandatory minicamp, we do not know the training camp schedules yet. Rookie minicamp runs from May 10th to the 12th. This includes draft picks from the draft running from April 25th to the 27th, undrafted free agents, and any other trial players brought in. You never know. We may bring in some more people from the AAF that's currently suspended. Our boy Rashad Ross has been showing out in the AAF. Might want to take a look at him. Also, the Redskins should look at Jaron Elliott, the edge rusher leading the AFF in sacks, which is hard to do with the rules that only allow 5 people to rush the quarterback. So Jaron Elliott had to for real earn those sacks with no blitzers to help take some of those blockers away. And to go off topic for a moment, with the AAF on the brink of failure, the Redskins just signed AAF defensive end Andrew Ankra, adding him to the 90-man roster heading into the off-season workouts. The Redskins are getting an edge rusher that recorded 3 sacks in 8 games, which is nothing to get excited about, but he's an interesting prospect. He's a little small for playing the edge, but now he has the chance to be a solid depth player. We'll see what we can get out of him. But now back to the off-season schedule dates. Organized team workouts, known as OTAs, are technically voluntary, even though you better have a hell of a reason not to be there. You better be doing some extensive workouts and in training wherever you are, and you better be a well-seasoned vet, like Trent Williams level type of vet. But anyway, the OTAs run from May 20th through the 21st, then May 23rd, then May 28th through the 30th, and then again June 10th through the 12th. And then lastly, we have mandatory minicamp June 4th through the 6th. And like I said, we still don't know the exact schedule of training camp, but starting April 15th, Phase 1, which is strength and conditioning and physical rehabilitation, goes for 2 weeks. Then the next 3 weeks are Phase 2, which is on the field workouts, including individual drills and team practices, no live contact, no offense versus defense team drills. Then the next month is Phase 3, which includes the 10 days of OTAs and mandatory minicamp. There is no live contact, but 7-on-7s, 9-on-7s, and 11-on-11 drills are allowed. Now for some speculation and rumors, and the news that a lot of y'all have been waiting to hear more about, this Josh Rosen situation. For those of you who don't know, Josh Rosen is a quarterback taken 10th overall in the 2018 draft by the Arizona Cardinals. He had a pretty bad rookie season, even though his coaching and offensive line set him up for failure. That's the same offense that doesn't even know how to use David Johnson right. But with the Cardinals' recent hiring of young Cliff Kingsbury as their head coach, they are pretty much guaranteed to draft quarterback Kyler Murray first overall, which leads to why we are here. What will the Cardinals do with Rosen? The almost guaranteed option is to trade him. The Cardinals are trying to be secretive and play games with the other 31 GMs and act like drafting Kyler Murray isn't a sure thing. They don't want to show the rest of the league their cards. So even though it's almost a sure thing that they will trade Rosen away, a franchise quarterback, you never really know. They may shock everybody and not take Kyler in the first, but I doubt it. They're taking him. And then another question is, when they trade him, will they trade him before or after the draft? I feel like they have the most leverage to gain larger value in return for giving up Rosen if they trade him away before the draft. Because if they wait till after the draft and they drafted Kyler Murray, then teams will know they have no use for Josh Rosen and are desperate to just trade him away for anything. Right now, there are a handful of teams that have interest in trading for Josh Rosen, and one team has offered a second, but the Cardinals are holding out for a first. But why would a team be tempted to give up a second or higher for a player that the Cardinals clearly don't want? So the only leverage the Cardinals would have if they wait till after the draft would be to have the other teams that want Josh Rosen bidding against each other and competing for the player. But before the draft, they can actually have this image that they actually want to keep him. And if y'all want him, y'all better give up a lot because this is our franchise quarterback. They can't do that after the draft, after they draft Kyler Murray. And as far as the Redskins go, which is why we're here, and the most important part, the Redskins have Alex Smith, who is assumed to be out for 2019 and may be out for forever, and eating up all kinds of cap space. We have Colt McCoy, who's still on crutches, but should be ready by training camp. And then we have Case Keenum, who is Mr. Average. So the Redskins have been doing their due diligence and interviewing and meeting with quarterback prospects in this coming draft. Rosen's cap space-friendly rookie deal, which hits the cap for $4 million this year, then $5 million, and then $5.5 million on his last year in 21, would be beneficial for the Redskins to pick up while they're in this ugly cap space situation with Alex Smith, eating up more than $20 million a year. Also, Josh Rosen would perform well in Jay Gruden's system and with a much better offensive line, and hopefully through the draft, a better receiving group. Only problem is, I don't want Josh Rosen for anything more than a second. And I'm still a little iffy on a second, but if he's as good as a lot of y'all think, then a second's good. But even with a second round pick, we have so many holes to fill on this roster, giving up great value when we need a wide receiver, edge rusher, left guard, and free safety as bad as we do. Even middle linebacker. This will be an easy recipe for being average forever like we have been. Plus, Josh Rosen, even though he had a terrible offensive line and some terrible coaching, he still has his issues and weaknesses. He doesn't read coverages well. He makes bad decisions. His vision is off a lot of the time. He can't throw short throws accurately, not even screens. He can't change the angle he throws the ball with. He struggles to loft the ball over defensive linemen, so his short throws get battered or picked by defensive linemen. He has a serious fumbling problem. He isn't good at throwing on the run at all. He isn't good outside the pocket yet. All of these can possibly be fixed with coaching and time. He is a very moldable quarterback that does a lot of the hard stuff right, like deep ball accuracy. He has a huge arm. His throwing release and motion is great. His snap count cadence and pre-snap reads are set, but he also comes with a lot of issues. But then again, he is a rookie, and many great quarterbacks have had terrible rookie seasons. And with him not being good outside the pocket, but being great inside the pocket, he should have a lot of success behind our great offensive line when it's healthy. But I'm also not going to lie and act like I had Josh Rosen as my favorite quarterback from the 2018 class before they were drafted. Before the draft, I had my QB rankings as Baker Mayfield as 1A, Sam Darnold 1B, because they were so neck and neck, but I kind of give the edge to Baker Mayfield. And this is before they were drafted. I had Lamar Jackson's potential versus Josh Rosen's ready to start day one and multiple traits, flipping between 3 and 4, week by week as I watched more film on both of them and just kept switching back and forth. And then I had Josh Allen 5th. So I never really loved Josh Rosen a lot, especially not as much as Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. But Josh Rosen can easily be better than anything we've had in a while. And if I ranked Josh Rosen with this 2019 QB class, I would easily have Josh Rosen only ranked behind Kyler Murray. And then again, their play styles are so different that it's hard to put them against each other. But Josh Rosen is clearly better than the other quarterbacks that are in 2019 draft. It's just him and Kyler Murray. I definitely would prefer Kyler Murray, but I would only want Kyler Murray if Jay Gruden were willing to adjust his offense around Kyler Murray's strengths and adapt the offense to mask his weaknesses, like size. But I definitely prefer Rosen over overly cautious and non-mobile Dwayne Haskins and very inconsistent Drew Lock. But a big left turn in this situation is that since Josh Rosen is still technically an Arizona Cardinal, the Redskins can't speak about him. They can't publicly express how much interest they have in him and how he would fit our team well without the league punishing them. That would be tampering and would have big ramifications for the Redskins. So basically, even if the Redskins are highly interested in acquiring Rosen to avoid tampering and for strategy purposes as far as not showing our cards and looking thirsty, the Redskins cannot publicly declare how much they are interested in Rosen. Also, the Cardinals have said that they expect Josh Rosen to participate in offseason activities as if he's going to start the 2019 season. They have also recently been reported never actually engaging in trade talks. Reportedly, teams like the Redskins have reached out to them, but they have not engaged in any real trade talks back. But this can easily be them just holding their cards closer to their chest, making it look like they really want to keep them to create more leverage. Also, despite the Cardinals claiming they are not engaging in trade talks, the Redskins have been rumored to be the most likely trade destination for Rosen. There have been multiple sources out there saying the Redskins are easily in the forefront of trading for Rosen. It's hard to get into the particulars of why, but I've been hearing that all over the place. And that pretty much catches you up on where we are with this current Josh Rosen situation. Get in them comments and let me know if you think the Redskins will find a way to get Rosen. Do you want them to? What is the highest round pick he is worth to you? And now on to the next topic. Y'all thought we was done, huh? Trent Williams had a procedure to remove some type of growth, tumor thing from his scalp. Teammates were worried it could be malignant, so Trent Williams got it removed in order to avoid any complications this coming season and in the future as far as beyond just 2019. The surgery took place before the combine, but we are just now hearing about it. But don't worry, he will be ready for training camp and he's good to go. Now on to the next topic. The Redskins and Rico of Street Scores are frustrated with the league over this Reuben Foster situation. Jay Gruden and Bruce Allen have publicly stated that they want an answer as soon as possible. Will he be suspended or not? And if he is, how long? The Redskins want to be able to make plans around whether or not he will be available. This suspension decision could very possibly affect the Redskins' draft strategy and decisions. Foster is currently on the commissioner's exempt list, and until he receives a final decision and is removed from that list, Foster cannot participate in team activities and practices. He can work out at the facilities, but he cannot participate in any off-season activities. And of course, he can't play in any games, preseason or regular season. And I just don't understand why this is taking so long. They got the Kareem Hunt situation out the way real smooth like. The investigation is done. No more investigation is underway. All of the facts and evidence are laid out in front of us. What is the league waiting on and doing? At this point, they're just deliberating. They need to hurry it up. He wasn't charged with anything, but we already know that still doesn't stop the NFL from handing out 6-game suspensions. But at this point, the league is trolling us. But there's nothing we can do but wait. I just imagine Reuben Foster's case being on a sheet of paper that's being used as a coaster or a mouse pad. They just look at it every day, say they'll get to it later, and just ignore it and forget about it. Roger Goodell and company need to step it up. But, next topic. Our boy, Clinton Portis, Southeast Jerome, said recently that the Redskins have the best running back trio in the NFL. And when you really look at it, if Darius Geis reaches his potential, or at the very least is even as good as he should be right out the gate when healthy, and with Chris Thompson finally starting this season healthy, unlike last season, this backfield can be. Adrian Peterson was practically out there by himself, with no passing game threat to take people out of the box. A terrible offensive line after injuries hit us like a sock of rocks. And he was playing some games with more than one injury at a time. And yet he still ran for over 1,000 yards. So he's solid. We know what we're getting out of him. He still clearly have a lot left in the tank. Then there's Darius Geis, who is assumed to take the driver's seat at some point, more than likely sooner than later. People forget, Darius Geis was easily the second best running back in the last year's class with Saquon Barkley, my Sony Michel, my Nick Chubb, Ronald Jones, Kerryon Johnson, Rashad Penny, Royce Freeman, and others. Some very trustworthy draft analysts actually had Darius Geis ranked higher than Saquon Barkley, mostly because Geis is a better running back mentally, as far as like vision, patience, and technique, and he's not as far away athletically from Saquon as many people think. Geis is the more polished, mentally stout, but also very athletic running back. Saquon is the more underrated, polished type of running back, and then he's just an extremely freakish athlete. It's more like 1A and 1B, not 1 and 2, because Saquon just has a ceiling that doesn't make sense. But it's not like Darius Geis is in the B-side. But I say all of this just to say that Geis is going to be a problem in this league for many years to come if he stays healthy. And he doesn't even have to rush back from his injury because of Adrian Peterson. And AD will be there to help him learn how to be a better running back. And AD can help Geis return from his injury because he had the same one. It gets deeper than just what exercises and drills to do. He can help him with diet, mentality, and can help him on a more personal level than a doctor who has never played football after tearing an ACL. He can tell him exactly what he did, when he did it, and why, so he can recover and have a 2,000-yard season. But let's not just look at our backfield. Let's look around and see how it compares to the rest of the league. Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram were the best until Mark Ingram just left New Orleans for the Ravens. Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman were great, but now Tevin Coleman left for the 49ers. Derrick Henry and Deion Lewis are good, but they are not Hall of Famer AD, potential god Darius Geis, and top 3 third down back in the league Chris Thompson. Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen had something going before Jordan Howard got traded to the Eagles. So I do honestly believe we have the best running back group. Now, I wouldn't say it's set in stone. I wouldn't bet on it because we have to see if Geis can return back to his LSU form and if Chris Thompson can be healthy. But as far as potential and expectations, this should be the best running back group in the NFL. especially with how good our O-line should be when healthy. In random news, the Redskins hosted Kenny Britt recently. He's a wide receiver who had his best year on the Rams, with our boy Case Keenum at quarterback. Coincidence. He left without signing anything, so I'm assuming the Redskins will see what they get through the draft, and if they don't get the wide receivers they like, they can just call him back up and talk about some numbers again. But he's not very good, so don't get excited. And speaking of wide receivers, Jay Gruden believes Trey Quinn can, quote, dominate, unquote, at slot receiver. Jay Gruden, along with many other people, believe Trey Quinn can not only replace Jamison Crowder, but possibly even have a bigger impact in the slot and return game. Trey Quinn was hurt for most of last year, but when he finally played, he flashed some great moments in both the slot and return game. He only played in 2.5 games, but even with some drops, he showed some potential to be very impactful for us. I miss Jamison Crowder, I really do, but Trey Quinn is a cheaper option with a higher ceiling. He just hasn't proven anything yet. I don't want to put all my chips in on it yet, but we might have something cooking over here with Trey Quinn. And on another note about wide receivers, in very random news, Ryan Grant signed with the Raiders, if anybody cared. I'm pretty sure Jay Gruden shed a tear of joy when he heard the news, like watching his little bird finally leave the nest. And speaking of Jay Gruden, Bleacher Report recently released an article talking about coaches in the hot seat leading into 2019, and Jay Gruden, who is on the second to last year of his contract, is one of the 7 coaches they said is on a, quote, scorching hot, unquote, hot seat. So the hottest it can get. It does look a little dark for him, honestly. Even though the Redskins have suffered a league worst amount of injuries the past 2 years, Jay Gruden has never coached the Redskins to a double-digit win season. Also, the Redskins are known as one of the most unorganized, drama-filled organizations in the league, so the offensive staff around them is not ideal. And there's been drama, turmoil, allegations, and all kinds of random stuff that wasn't his fault since he's coached here. I mean, he even came and walked right into the Kirk Cousins and RG3 drama. Then he finally got Alex Smith, and what happened? He gets hurt for a season and a half, if not forever. He had to even deal with the Scott McCloughan situation that wasn't his fault either. And now he's supposedly not being included in the making of major decisions like signing free agents and trades. It's a lot of craziness that's not his fault. But he does have his faults too. So whether or not you feel he deserves to be fired or not re-signed after his contract ends in a couple of years, it looks like he more than likely will, unless Case Keenum, Colt McCoy, Josh Rosen, or some mystery quarterback can lead this team to a playoff win, which doesn't look very likely unless the Redskins have a really good draft. And you never know though. This assistant coach upgrade across the board could prove to have a larger impact than we think. They might just be able to save Jay Gruden's job. But if they can't save his job, we already know who's pretty much primed to be the next head coach, and that's recently promoted to offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell, who the Redskins view as the next Sean McVay. But good luck out there, Jay Gruden. I'm rooting for you. Draft-wise, the Redskins have met with, evaluated closely, or talked to in some form or fashion through a visit, dinner, or just something with a lot of college prospects. Too many to just run through and name them all, but the most notable ones include guard Cody Ford out of Oklahoma, quarterback Will Grier out of West Virginia, wide receiver Kelvin Harmon out of NC State, quarterback Dwayne Haskins out of Ohio State, quarterback Daniel Jones out of Duke, guard Chris Lindstrom out of Boston College, quarterback Drew Lock out of Missouri, wide receivers DK Metcalf and AJ Brown out of Ole Miss, offensive tackle Dalton Risner out of Kansas State, guard Drew Samuel out of Oklahoma, wide receiver Deebo Samuel out of South Carolina, quarterback Jarrett Stidham out of Auburn, offensive tackle Jawan Taylor out of Florida, and cornerback Rock Ya-Sin out of Temple. And that's just a piece of the list. I just gave y'all the most notable players. These visits and talks could provide real clues to who we draft in the next couple of weeks. And the last news I have for y'all is Landon Collins wants to prove himself before he even considers wearing Sean Taylor's number 21 jersey number. He will begin his hopefully long-term and very successful Redskins career wearing the number 20. Landon Collins always wanted to be a Redskin growing up for one sole reason. He idolized Sean Taylor growing up and wanted to have the same impact on and off the field. Signing with the Redskins was a dream of his because of Sean Taylor's legacy. And I love the fact that he feels he needs to earn that jersey number, even though I don't understand why the Redskins haven't retired 21 yet. Also, Happy belated birthday to Sean Taylor, whose birthday was April 1st. I hope Landon Collins can live up to your legacy and leave a similar impact on the field. But that's it for this off-season episode of Redskins Report. Thanks for the view. I'm going to keep bringing y'all occasional updates on what the Redskins are doing throughout this entire offseason from December to August. And of course, I got y'all when the regular season starts up too. This will include roster moves, draft prospects, scouting reports. I got y'all back. Make sure y'all get in them comments and let me know how y'all feel about the various topics I discussed. Jay Gruden's hot seat, Josh Rosen's possibility of coming to the Redskins, the league hating on us with the Reuben Foster situation, the Redskins having the best running back group in the NFL, Trey Quinn filling in for Jamison Crowder's void, and Trent Williams' tumor scare. Also, make sure y'all Dolomite Fake punch that like button, favorite, subscribe, I'll subscribe back, and most importantly, comment and share. And again, thank y'all for the support. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.